Dobra, i wychodzi z kolejki. Hello and welcome to an extremely untypical episode of Frog Manual, because although today we have a GBBR, we will be not building a conversion for it. Today we will learn how to build the F-Bang grenades. Of course, this is a Frog Bang Grenade, stun grenade, M84 type, fully printed with some hardware parts. You can ask, what's going on, Frog? So the answer is simple. All these conversions, to be honest, are kind of the same. Yeah, there is nothing new in them. It's just applied for a different design. So you can imagine this gets boring after some time. And also I wanted to try something else, bring some more realism and some new experiences to the community. You know that I am very fixed on the realism. So I figured out, okay, let's maybe do some grenades. And in general, you know, the grenades for airsoft, many different types, gas types, blown out seals or very expensive components, easy to lose, and so on and so on. If you use some pyrotechnic grenades, then they are one-time use, again they are expensive. So I figured out, let's make a grenade that will act as a flashbang, that is cheap to make, you can do it yourself, and it uses simple components and it's reusable, possible to quickly reload. And this way the M84 stun grenade, or as you prefer, F-Bang grenade, came to life. So you see the grenade is modeled after M84 flashbang grenade. I tried to use the same color scheme to mimic that grenade and the size and shape overall, to get it as close as possible to the original. However, because we will be using some special charge for it, it kind of limits the possibilities, yeah? So it cannot be one-to-one the same. This gold color I wanted to use for the core did not really turn out the way I expected. It's more like tactical gold. You can see how it looks like. It's fully 3D printed, it has some screws, springs and other hardware parts, but generally this is something you can build yourself, and the models for it will be on my Codes account. At the end of the video I will show how to build one, yeah? And right now I will explain how it works, what's going on here. So I wanted to build a safe flashbang grenade, so of course it doesn't generate huge flash and bang that will blow out your ears, but just to disorient the enemy in some CQB game or for some training, something, you know, you can use everywhere. Not using any forbidden materials, not using anything dangerous, very simple, safe. How to do it? What I could use? I figured out that I will not use any gas or anything like this, because then the components will be very expensive. I will use the simplest possible thing, which are those type of caps from pistols for children. Yeah, so if even children can use them, then they are safe enough to be used in our grenade. They will not harm anybody, and they can create that effect that we want. How do you use this grenade? You open it like this. You need to undo the bottom part, then you need to pull off this red part. It's called the EXP bottom. Okay, and now we need to reset the mechanism. You see that there are 4 hammers here. Those red parts, they are on spring, they are moving. Each of them has 2 sticking out screws that will be hitting against those screws, basically detonating those caps in pairs. Why I decided to do 4 separate hammers instead of like one big feature that would detonate everything? It is because first, these caps are kind of low quality, and very often they just have different heights and so on. So if you try to detonate all of them at once with some part, half of them will not be even hit and nothing will happen, yeah? So it's like wasted. If you have separate hammers like here, then they are only paired, so only 2 at once are hit, and if the rest is at different level because different filling of the cap, then it is not an issue. It will be hit by next hammer. So let's say for this low quality caps, I bring the efficiency much higher than I would if this would be just one big feature. And of course we want to have maximum effect, so there are 8 of those hit at one use, let's say. The next thing is that I wanted to make it even more interesting. So if we are detonating 2 at the time in 4 steps, this explosion, let's call it, will be a little longer and be perceived as a little louder. Yeah. In fact, it's not louder at all, but it takes longer, so it's a little more disorienting. And depending on the components you will use inside, which I will explain later when we will assemble this grenade, you can generate the delay between those 4 actions. Yeah, so you can even make 4 separate detonations, let's call it. Coming back, okay, so how to use it? You need to pull out the pin, then the handle will release. Yeah, it's on a spring, so it releases automatically, and you will need to reset the grenade. For this, you need to rotate the cylinder as the arrows show here, and then there will be resistance. So when you reach this resistance, you have to look for the arrow indicating which hammer to push in, and you push in that hammer with some tool all the way in. It should be stable, it should stay like this. Then you can push in the next one indicated by the arrow in the next position, just like this, and the next one, and the next one. Okay, if you rotate the cylinder all the way till the end, here on top a cutout in the cylinder will align with cutout in the housing, and you can basically close the handle and secure it with that pin. So this way it doesn't move and the cylinder is not able to rotate anymore. Right now what we need to do is just put the caps in here on the screws, so all the caps should match appropriate screws. And here is one additional feature, because what you could do is also put a second cap in here. When you put it in here, you must make sure that each cap goes in between the red rib and the brown one, or the golden one. Yeah, so you push it in, and this way you can get even more detonations and a little more effect. But in practice, if you have these low quality caps, it can cause many misfires, yeah, because the uneven surface, which I already explained. Now you can put this part back and make sure that you align it correctly, because 3 walls are flat on the EXP top part, the red one here, and one is with a radius. So you need to match them with appropriate walls in the EXP bottom. Okay, and you trap the caps in between those 2 parts. When this is done, you just take the housing bottom and you screw it in all the way till you feel resistance. Okay, and the grenade is ready to use. So now if I remove the pin and I will release the handle, nothing will happen because this is impact activated, yeah. But if it impacts strong enough on the ground, then the mechanism will be released. The cylinder inside will start to rotate, and the hammers will start to drop down on the caps, basically detonating them. Through the openings, some smoke will come out, there will be some small flash, a little bang, and that's how it works. Of course, if you don't want to release it, if you just change your mind, you can always put the pin back in, and the grenade is, let's say, safe to use. Okay, so let's have a try. I pull the pin out, and here we go. So the grenade detonated. I made a lot of noise, smell, and a little flash. You can also use it without any charge, obviously, and then the effect will be much more silent because it will be just the mechanism working. Okay, so now I can remove the bottom part, and you see what happened. So all the hammers hit the caps under them, and all of them were detonated. If I pull this out, okay, I can throw out my used caps, and I can either put the new ones in or just put this part back here, okay, all the way. And then if I rotate the cylinder so like till the end against the arrows, I can also close the handle with the hammers released. Yeah, so for transportation, when it's not armed, let's say, I can put in the pin, the grenade is, let's say, complete, then I just add the bottom and the grenade is reassembled but empty now. Also, you can notice on the bottom of the grenade there are those fields. They are like free sections for some numbers or letters or whatever you want, so that you can sign your grenade, because if you will be using this with your friends, you can mix them. Yeah, so you can just put some numbers in here. Of course, the grenade is kind of loud, so you should not throw it at your ears directly. Yeah, you can use some ear pro when you are in small rooms and so on. Basically, I don't take responsibility of any misuse or anything you do with those grenades. We are using the safe charge, let's say, those caps from pistols for children, but still the grenade could be kind of loud, especially in the small confined space. So I believe nobody will get hurt with it, but you are responsible for the use you put in for those grenades. Yeah, so I don't take any responsibility for this. So this was the demonstration and explanation how to use the grenade, how it works, and now we will switch to how to build one. So first we will have a look into the parts that are needed to build the grenade, and there are many printed parts on the right side and some hardware store parts on the left side. All of them you can purchase somewhere in hardware store or print yourself. It's kind of complicated because there's like a lot of parts. Starting with the parts for the 3D printing, all of them I did from regular PLA, apart from the handle. This is made of nylon with carbon fiber. The reason is that this is like sticking out when the grenade hits the ground, so it's the easiest part to break, let's say. For the rest, as I said, the PLA is fine, you can experiment, do whatever you can. And I chose the colors to mimic the real colors of the grenade. However, this golden color, it's more like tactical gold, yeah, so not exactly what I wanted. So we have the housing bottom, housing top, the core, the cylinder. This is the top cap, bottom cap. This part is called EXP bottom because this is support for the explosive part. This is EXP top. There are 4 hammers, that handle I mentioned, and this is a handle release. On the left side we have the hardware store parts. So we have the screw M5 x 120, the long one. We have a pin, this is pin 3x20. There is a steel ball, 4 mm diameter. There is a tiny spring here. The spring dimensions are outer diameter 3, height 5. And regarding the material for the wire or the diameter of the wire, it depends, because the purpose of this spring and ball is to delay the hammer activation, yeah, so that they don't all act almost at once. And at first, because this is all printed, the grenade will have big friction inside it. The mechanism will not work too smoothly. So if you put in a very strong spring here, it will completely kill the function. So at first I suggest you either don't put the steel ball and the spring inside, or you can use some weaker spring, and later when it breaks in you can replace it with a stronger one. In my case this is 0.45 wire diameter. Then I have 4 screws. These are M3 x 40. You see cylindrical heads. I have 8 screws, headless, M2.5 x 12. Also 8 screws, headless, M3 x 8. There are needed 2 M5 nuts. 3 conical head screws, M3 x 10. There is also already assembled a split pin. This is 2.5 x 32 and a keychain ring. This is 1 inch diameter. You can use a bigger one if you want. Yeah, we'll use it as the pin for the grenade. Then there are those 5 pieces of spring. They are all cut from the exact same wire. So one has 10 millimeters length, 3 of them have 100 millimeters length, and this one is 110. All of them are 4.5 outer diameter, 0.5 wire thickness. This is M84 spring wire. What we will also need will be a ton of grease. So I will be using this synthetic grease with Teflon, nothing special, but we will really need to apply a lot of it inside. The specifications for the printed parts, like the layer height and so on, will be in the description. I will not discuss them now. So now we will do some part preparation. For this I will put all the parts away and I will be focusing on them one by one. So the first thing we will do is to prepare the housing bottom. For this we need that housing bottom part, one M5 nut and the bottom cap. We throw in the nut into the hexagonal hole in here, and to make sure that it won't fall out, we will melt the material with soldering iron around. You can do it differently, you can like glue it, you can figure out different method. I will basically melt the walls all around just a bit so that it doesn't have the option to move. And if you are doing this my way, make sure of course that you have good ventilation in the room so that you don't breathe these fumes, but also make sure that this flat surface, let's say, remains flat so that there is like no material sticking out here. Okay, and when I have this prepared, I just need to take that bottom cap, put it here. It has a guide for the slot, yeah, like this, and push it all the way in. The dimensions are chosen in such a way that it should not be able to fall out. So you can glue it, you can also maybe catch it with some melted plastic if you prefer, but I think this is not really needed. So our first part is ready. So the next parts will be the EXP bottom and EXP top. For this you will also need the second M5 nut and 8 of those M3 x 8 screws without the head. Here simply we will drop in the nut into this part and then also secure it so that it doesn't fall out. It will just make things smoother later on. So I very quickly melt a bit of the plastic on top of the nut. It doesn't have to be a lot, and right now this part will not be falling out. And when I did this, I need to take my M3 x 8 screws, and there are 8 holes in the EXP bottom part, and I need to just thread them in. And while doing this, make sure that they are going straight. Yeah, this is going into the plastic, this is metal. It could happen that you do it incorrectly, yeah, that it's tilted at some angle. All the way till the end, and you do it for all of them. You at the end want to make sure that plus minus, you know, they are at the same height, like the tips are sticking out to the same height. And with all screw in place, the part is ready. And similar thing we will do with all the hammers. If you look on the bottom, there are 2 holes. You need to screw in those 2.5 x 12 screws without the head, and also clean the hammers up so that you make sure that the spring goes smoothly in and out. Yeah, and here they are printed lying like this. Yeah, so they are printed like this on the bed, no supports needed, and this way the layers are along the part, not across, because if they were across it would catch on the cylinder part later on and it would generate a lot of friction, so this is important. So I take all those and again trying to make it straight. Trying to be as straight as possible, okay, until it stops. And when all 4 hammers are prepared, you can put them aside. The best is to have the same length of the screws sticking out of each one, but this we can fix later. So if you screwed them some way till the resistance is felt, it's okay, we can leave it for the moment. For the next preparation, we will take the 4 M3x40 screws and the core, and we need to insert those screws in here and basically push them through. So this hole is a little tighter, let's say. It should like catch the screw, so maybe you need to screw it in, yeah. But finally you need to push them through. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna screw in each of them just a bit, like this. And then gently with a hammer push them through. So you see this one went through, and here you want it to be flush with this surface, so let's hit it. Okay, it's okay, and there is not much surface to guide this part, but you want to make it as parallel to the axis of the part as possible. If there are like leftovers, like in my case on the thread, I will clean them up. So I don't want this plastic here. I will just remove it like this. And this is how it should look like, and I need to do it for all 4 of them. Okay, 2 in place. Now the third one. So the third one is in place. It moves a little, but it's not an issue, it will be fixed later. And then the 4th one. And you can see the screws are all in place. Okay, and the last preparation that we will do are for the springs. So the springs, because I cut them from a longer one, they are not ended flat, yeah? There is always this wire running out. So what I want to do is to make the flat end on all of them, yeah, on all 5 pieces. So the short one is prepared. Now the longest one. And I basically do it for all of them. Okay, and when we do it, all springs are ready, we can start the assembly. Okay, so all my parts are here. I have my grease. I will use some wrenches, of course, and keys, let's say. Of course, make sure that all these parts were cleaned up. Nothing sticks out of these plastics and so on, yeah? I probably did not mention it, but I guess this is obvious. Okay, so now what we will do is the complete assembly. All the parts are here, and let's start with the core. We will have to apply a lot of grease on the rails here, like inside there are like 3 walls, and on the screw. So later on I will wipe off the excess, because probably that's too much, you see. And then we should also apply some on this surface. We don't need to really distribute it, it will be distributed properly during the assembly later. And then we will take the cylinder, and for the cylinder, looking from this side, there is a guide starting here, and we need to like really fill it with that grease too. So all the way until this guide gets vertical. Okay, if you cannot reach it with that container for the grease, you can do it by finger. And also, so that later we don't have to do it, here in the housing top, when looking from the top is where we have this cutout, we also want to apply grease in here. So it looks more or less like this. Okay, now we will take that core part, and if you look closely, there are numbers here, 1, 2, 3 and 4. This is order in which we will assemble the springs and hammer parts. So the number 1 will take the longest spring, 110 millimeters. Okay, and then on the rest we put those 100 millimeter springs. And already here we can see there is a small hole. We need to throw in this spring for the steel ball if we have it, yeah, if we want to use it. If not, then we can just leave it empty. We take 4 hammers, they are identical, yeah. We can apply some more lube on the sides and into this hole here, because this is where the sliding will happen, yeah. And we put them one by one on the springs like this, yeah. Of course, we don't need to push them in yet. The springs will push them out, they won't hold, yeah. Okay, and I do it 4 times. Okay, so I have my Tower of Madness prepared here, and right now it will be the most difficult part of the assembly. So for this we need to prepare proper parts, yeah, because we will do it in one go. And we need this, as I said, Tower of Madness, the steel ball, cylinder. Of course, if you don't use the steel ball, you don't need it. Then the housing top and those 3 screws M3 x 10. Of course, the tool for these screws, it's good to have it also in your hand, and we can help ourselves with some flat screwdriver also in a moment. So how we assemble it right now? I will show it in this perspective. Hopefully it will be understandable. So you see there are those pins sticking out of the hammers here on sides, and we will need to catch them all with the cutout here on the cylinder. And we will start with this longest one, which has number 1 at the base, and then we will go clockwise 1, 2, 3 and 4, just as the numbers on the base. We will rotate this upside down, and already now I can match this cutout in the cylinder with that pin on the hammer number 1. So I do it, and I need to push it like halfway, and here I have to be careful because these springs will be running out to the sides and so on. So I want them to basically be guided on those 4 screws that I already have. So here I use that screwdriver to help myself and really catch all the springs, make sure I can like rotate it like you see. I want to make sure that all the springs and all the screws, they hide in the hammer parts. Okay, and I push it like this, so you see it gives you a lot of force because of those springs, yeah. So what you want to do right now, and here you have to also be very careful when you pushed it, when you compressed it, so that the bottom of the part comes out, you start to slowly rotate it. You hold the base in one hand and you start to slowly rotate it clockwise. So one of the guides was already in the groove, now the second one will jump. Yeah, I felt it, I've heard it. Now I want to catch the third one. Okay, so the third one is in, and now the fourth one. But when I catch the fourth one, I want to stop immediately so that they don't shoot out on this side. Yeah, so I do it very carefully, very slowly, and there it is. Okay, I put my steel ball on that spring. You cannot see it, but it's there. And I push this all the way till the end. Yeah, so it should be flat on the bottom. If you did everything correctly, it will be. Then you can take the top part, the housing part, and on the base between number 2 and 3 there is that cutout, yeah, on the core part, and you will need to match it with this cutout. You cannot put this part, otherwise there is some coding added. So still holding this firmly down, you need to put this over like this, press it down, and then fit the housing top like this, and you can hold right now the housing top, and we need to pick it up, yeah, because now we will add 3 screws to secure this whole assembly, and then the tricky part will be finished. Yeah, all the time remember not to rotate that cylinder so that the parts don't shoot out of this side. So still pushing strongly, I take it out. I do it like this, so I hold it with my 2 fingers. I compress it all the way so that it's flat on this side, and now I can start adding those screws one by one. To make it a little simpler, I don't have to go all the way at first probably. is good enough, like half, let's say, of the screw goes in, then I can switch to the next one and I will tighten all of them when this is prepared. So the second one, just to catch, and now the third one, and because I already have two others, here I can go all the way. So this one is screwed till the end. Now this one. Okay. Now this one and the last one. Okay, so I did it, and still I did not rotate that cylinder. Remember about this. Okay, so now I can take this assembly this way, and I need to put in here on top this spring, the short spring with the handle release. So I compress it, I push it in. I can add a bit of lube, but here I honestly think this is not mandatory. And then we will take the top cap and we will put it in here, and this main long screw will go through the middle. The screw is needed because obviously those springs are acting against the layers, yeah? So sooner or later this grenade would just break in half, yeah? If we didn't add any reinforcement. So here we are adding a very strong reinforcement, so this screw will never be torn apart by those springs and it will be fine. Now when the screw is all the way in, we take the EXP top part, and here you have to be careful because EXP top part has 4 cutouts and one of them is smaller than the rest. Yeah, so we need to find also on the core sticking out here that those 3 ribs, let's say, they are bigger and this one is a bit shorter. So we need to match this shorter one against that more shallow groove. Yeah. Of course, it has a nut, so I need to like screw it over, yeah, and I'm gonna tighten it as much as I can with my hands, let's say. Then I'm gonna match the shallow groove with this shorter rib. I will push it from this side, and when I do it, I can use a hex key to catch the screw from this side and tighten it all the way in. And I want to make it like really tight, so let's do it. Okay, nice. So I assemble it, and now if I rotate the cylinder, the hammers will hit the EXP top part and they will not fall out. Yeah? They will not go outside, the springs will remain on the guides, and now let's say it's a safe state. What I will do now is I will rotate the cylinder more clockwise, and you see how those hammers will start to jump out. Yeah. Okay, here you see this last one is jamming a bit, but yeah, when I pushed it again, it started to work. So right now what we will have to do is to, let's call it, format the mechanism. Because the grenade is 3D printed, so you know, it's rough surface, it's not smooth and so on. We need to start it, let's say by hand, reset it 10 times around, and according to what I've seen building those grenades, I see that if you like start it 10 times by hand, the uneven surfaces and everything is evened out to a level that allows you to use it normally. So how do we do it? We look where there is the triangle on the cylinder, yeah, and we need to rotate the cylinder all the way according to these arrows. So I rotate it. I see that the arrow inside is here, and I need to push this with some tool all the way in and catch it with the cylinder, it stays. Yeah. Now the triangle is in front of another hammer, so I do the same. I push it in while rotating and it's in. Again, next one indicated by the arrow, so push it in, rotate according to the arrows and it's ready. And final one, I again push it in. Yeah, it goes kind of hard, rotate it till the end and it's ready. Sometimes it can happen that you are not able to push the next one, let's say the next hammer, if the previous one was not pushed really all the way in. Yeah, it can block. So make sure you push this really all the way in. That's one thing. And second thing, if you really feel like strong resistance or you hear the springs scratching on the screws or the plastic, maybe you need to repeat the assembly because maybe something is not straight. Yeah. But okay, when I have it, I will now rotate the cylinder clockwise, so against these arrows. And when I rotate it, the hammers will be released one by one. So what I want to do is I want to get to a status that I barely rotate it and then all of them are activated, yeah? But at first this won't happen, so have a look. I will rotate the cylinder, nothing happened, yeah? Let's do some more. One was released, yeah? Second was released, okay? And those two were released on their own, yeah? So this means I need to repeat it. And I do it like 10 times, like I said. So first one, I did it. Will be long and boring, so I will show just the next one and the last one. So here very quickly I set it again, okay, I did it and I release it, and you see right now two first hammers released and then it stopped and then the next two released. So it's a little better, yeah. Let's break it in more. Okay, and this is the 10th time I, let's say, resetted the mechanism. And you can see the difference right now. So if I rotate it just slightly, all the mechanism is released, yeah, all four hammers. And this will become even better over time, yeah. If you want, you can do more cycles, but for me it's enough. We can wipe off this excess of the grease and we will proceed with the assembly. The next step will be to fit the EXP bottom part because it has to be really tight. And if you look on the EXP bottom part, on one side it has the radius. So in order to put this on, you need to match it with the radius on the EXP bottom part. EXP top part. Okay, and it has to go all the way in. Okay, and when it does, it will push the hammers a little higher. So you see that there is a small gap, so that the hammers don't stop on the EXP top, but the screws hit against those screws, yeah? And now, when you rotate it, you can see which of the screws touch to their counterpart and which not. And if you see there is no touch, then you need to loosen those screws so that they are in touch, yeah? So you will have to remove it a few times and make sure all of them touch. So I set my screws, all of them are on touch, and now we can just take the bottom part, which we prepared earlier, and screw it on that big screw. You will see it goes all the way in. Okay, and it's ready. And the last thing that we will need to assemble is the handle here. For the handle, we put it in. There is a hole that has to match with this hole. The pin will go through this hole and attach with this hole on the handle. Okay, so the pin fits. And to close the handle, you must make sure that the cylinder is rotated in such a way that the cutout is in this groove. If you rotate it, you see that the cylinder moves there, and only when the cutout is there you will be able to fully close it, yeah? Okay, and when you fully close it, you can take your pin and basically push it through here. Depending on the printing quality, it might be a little harder or easier, yeah, but definitely it should go through on the other side. Okay, of course if it goes hard it will break in, yeah, but the grenade this way is assembled and ready for use. And still now, when we did this formatting, this could happen that there is still some friction inside. Maybe you need to do some more formatting in this case, or maybe just start using it. If you throw it around like 5-10 times, even without the caps inside, you will see if it launches or not, yeah? In general, it is designed in such a way that if it drops to the ground from 1 meter height, depending of course on the hardness of the ground, it should go off. That spring with the ball will influence this, the springs you used for the hammers will influence this, but you can experiment, yeah? And that's it for today. Today we learned how to build the Frog Bang Grenade. First, how to use it, how to build it. I hope you will like it, hope that it will bring some new possibilities to the game, allow you to train some new tactics and make everything just a bit more real. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this design. You can find this design on my Cults account. Leave comments, likes, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Again, there will be more videos like this coming, also with some frag grenades. Be sure not to miss them. And for now, may the power of grenade be with you.